Shaq went on Angel Reese's podcast this week and shared his billion-dollar idea for the WNBA.
In the next few minutes, you'll witness the moment that rattled women's basketball to its foundation. We have Shaq, Angel Reese, and a whole lot of uncomfortable truths to unpack.
Bro, a pretty girl dunking on the rim, I'm watching that all the time. You laughing.
A man is not turned on by no woman that's dunking.
It ain't about being turned on. It's about seeing stuff that you're not supposed to see.
Here's what's ahead. We'll reveal the exact words from Shaq that made Angel uncomfortable, showcase the statistics that support his claims, and explain why this one conversation could potentially alter the future of the WNBA. Stay tuned, because this is going to be intriguing. Shaq just dropped a truth bomb that has the entire basketball world buzzing. We're talking about a 4-time NBA champion, a Hall of Famer, and a business mogul worth over $400 million. When Shaq talks, people pay attention, and he certainly had a lot to say about the WNBA. Picture this: Shaq sitting there, calm and collected, as he discusses ways to make the WNBA more exciting. His suggestion? Lower the rims. Let's roll the first clip.
And women's beach volleyball, let's just say that the net is 10. For women, it's lower just a little bit. I'm not saying lower it to 9, 5, 9, 6, but just 9, 9.
Just so we can dunk?
Yes.
No.
No, see? And
I hate when men say that.
But listen, that's the only difference.
People always disrespect women regardless. They're always going to not give us the same value as a man. So I just don't even think that.
And that's why you got to do what you've been doing. Go take the
Yeah.
I'm telling you now, if you lower that thing to 9.
And what's going to happen? All right, tell me, the money going to go through the roof?
Yeah.
Not all the way down to the ground, of course, but just enough to change the game. He's suggesting lowering the rim to about 8 to 10 feet below the standard height. Why? So we can see some dunks naturally. You might think that doesn't sound too bad, but here's where it gets interesting. Sitting right across from Shaq, Angel Reese isn't on board with that idea. She fires back, making some compelling points about respecting women's basketball.
I feel like it still wouldn't be good enough. It's never good enough for a man. People always disrespect women regardless. They're always going to not give us the same value as a man. So I just don't even think that.
She then addressed the issue of people not tuning in to watch the game.
Yeah.
I'm telling you now, if you lower that thing to 9.
And what's going to happen? All right, tell me, the money going to go through the roof?
Yeah.
We don't even have the people don't even watch the game.
You can feel the tension rising as Angel contends that lowering the rim is outright disrespectful to female players. But Shaq wasn't finished. He delivered a real knockout punch.
We don't even have the people don't even watch the game.
Because I don't want to use the B word. Unless it's certain people playing. It's like you're watching like a high school game.
He looked Angel in the eye and compared the WNBA to high school basketball. Yes, you heard that correctly. Shaq stated, and I quote, "It's like you're watching a high school game." Can you imagine the collective gasp from WNBA players everywhere? Let's break this down for a moment. Shaq, one of the most dominant players in NBA history, just suggested that the highest level of women's professional basketball is comparable to high school boys' games. That's not merely a critique. It's a full-blown slam dunk of criticism.
Shaq, he was trying to teach Angel Reese how to make the WNBA more entertaining. So people might actually watch the product. And Shaq is qualified to do so. During his NBA career, the dude was a brilliant marketer. He knew how to be entertaining while also being dominant on the court. There was a reason that every member of the media was waiting by Shaq's locker after games. They knew he would deliver the best sound bites. They knew he would give the most entertaining interview.
You might be curious about how this will unfold. On one side, there are people agreeing with Shaq, believing he's just voicing what many have been thinking. They argue that if the WNBA wants to attract more viewers and generate more excitement, then something needs to change.
Angel Reese, just because a man is criticizing your league, it does not mean he is disrespecting women. This is the entitlement I always talk about. Angel Reese and her colleagues in the WNBA, they have this false sense of entitlement that makes them believe that they are above being criticized. Anytime they are criticized, they want to play the victim. Men don't respect women. Oh yeah?
On the flip side, there's a large group of upset fans and players who believe Shaq's comments are disrespectful and outdated, arguing that the portrayal of black women in the league is an ongoing conversation. Many, including A'ja Wilson, Angel Reese, Cheryl Swoops, and others, seem to view Caitlin Clark as a major issue in the WNBA, at least according to the league discussions. But is this truly the case? Or could it be more about rivalry and resentment? Some recent developments might make us rethink the situation. Last week, A'ja Wilson brought up the topic of white privilege while speaking with Kelsey Plum. Now, Wilson and Angel Reese are both featured on the cover of the Wall Street Journal's magazine. Yet surprisingly, there's no mention of Caitlin Clark. In 2024, with all that's happening, isn't it worth exploring this from Caitlin Clark's perspective too? Imagine this. Even if you're the first rookie since 2008 to make the WNBA's first team, break over 50 records in one season, and win Rookie of the Year, you're still not acknowledged in one of the league's largest media spreads to date. This seems puzzling, especially if Clark's success is arguably central to the article's theme. The situation is further complicated by online tensions. Caitlin Clark is often cast in a negative light, made to seem difficult and unlikable, even while dealing with online harassment from an account managed by A'ja Wilson's friend. And yet, both Wilson and Reese continue to fuel controversy, even accusing each other of unfair treatment and, at times, directing this frustration toward Caitlin Clark. This leaves us wondering, is this really the behavior we expect from an MVP or Rookie of the Year? This situation honestly feels like a case of bullying. It's the peak of first world issues, showing a lack of responsibility and, frankly, Angel Reese's lack of consideration. Watching this unfold is mind-boggling. You're right, it's easy to see how she comes across if you have even a bit of self-awareness. Honestly, if I were another WNBA player without Caitlin Clark's visibility, she wouldn't be my concern. She isn't the problem here. More people are starting to catch on. Caitlin Clark was never the issue. Her critics were the ones using her name for attention whenever things didn't go their way. Those same athletes, analysts, and experts quickly make noise when they feel slighted, then claim Caitlin Clark is the root of it all. But here's the truth. The issue might actually be Angel and A'ja, not Caitlin. It's worth asking, who's really harming the league's reputation? Angel Reese or Caitlin Clark? Because, once again, it's Reese's unlikability that seems to be hurting the league's image. Caitlin, on the other hand, is generally well-liked and doesn't flaunt privilege or entitlement as if she's something special. People from all backgrounds are beginning to notice this. You made a great point. Caitlin Clark is helping drive the league's success and bring in money, while Angel Reese's behavior might be doing the opposite. The WNBA doesn't seem to be catching on, but the fans certainly are. Yet, we're still being told to embrace both Angel and A'ja as league icons. But do they even realize who they're trying to promote? I get it. A'ja Wilson is undoubtedly one of the greatest players, a true icon who will likely be in the Hall of Fame. Her stats alone speak to her greatness, and that's worthy of respect. But as I look deeper into this and see more of her behavior, I can't ignore a hard truth. She's becoming more.
We also have talked, even on this channel, about Angel's very dramatic response to that. Angel Reese started with, "I'm heartbroken. I'm literally lost for words, knowing what this woman meant to me in such a pivotal point in my life. She was the only person," which is interesting since she's been coached before.
It's pretty wild that even after facing a lawsuit over steroid allegations, Angel Reese still has the audacity to keep making headlines with her outrageous comments. And this time, she's taking shots at none other than her coach, Teresa Weatherspoon. If betrayal had a face, it would definitely look like Teresa's right now.
And unfortunately, it seems like, according to some new reports, that relationship cost her her job.
Chicago Sky officials are saying Teresa was suspended because the team's performance wasn't up to par. But wait a second, Angel is out here dropping some serious tea, claiming that's not the full story.
Point being, she disrespected the official. That was the official response to this.
So why is Angel doing this? Are her claims actually legit? Or is this just another dramatic turn in the ongoing Angel Reese saga? Let's break it down from the beginning because things are getting messy. Ever since then, the internet has been blowing up, and it's all because of Angel Reese.
Now you have a rivalry here. Angel Reese wants to be Draymond Green, but there's nothing about her game that's really interesting that is going to translate to people who may not watch the WNBA, may not care about basketball.
Once hyped as the next big star in the WNBA, Angel is now caught in the middle of a scandal so wild, it's shaking up the entire league. After months of rumors, the truth finally came to light. Reese allegedly turned to performance-enhancing drugs in a desperate attempt to stay relevant. When you can't keep up with the talent in the league, what do? Yeah, apparently, you turn to steroids to close that gap.
Angel Reese is the villain, Caitlin Clark is the hero, and Angel Reese continued to play into it last night by getting ejected, and it's almost like it's all scripted. This is perfect for the WNBA. She's all the talk. She's the one standing up there in front of reporters saying, I need all of you guys to realize there's two of us that changed the game of women's basketball, and it's not just Caitlin Clark. I was a part of that 2 years ago in the national championship game, and it's going to continue to be that way from here on out. I kind of love it. I don't agree with her. It's way more Caitlin Clark than it is Angel Reese.
Then, boom, news breaks that Reese tested positive for performance-enhancing drugs, and the entire WNBA world went into a frenzy. The Chicago Sky, her team at the time, didn't waste a second suspending her while they launched an investigation. But honestly, we all knew where this was going.
Her job. And I don't doubt it, because anybody who's watching could see that what was going on with Chicago and with Angel Reese and the double-double streak and all that stuff wasn't good for Angel, wasn't good for the rest of the team, wasn't good for the whole organization.
The moment those test results came back, Reese's career nosedived faster than her fourth quarter shooting percentage. Her public image was already hanging by a thread, but this, it completely shattered it. The Sky cut her loose, and fans, the league, everyone were left stunned, picking their jaws up off the floor.
WNBA has been around a couple of decades, and people didn't notice the game. They're noticing it now. Well, that's because of Caitlin Clark, not Angel Reese.
The drugs Reese allegedly used weren't your everyday vitamins. Nope, she supposedly went for EPO, or erythropoietin, a powerful performance enhancer that boosts stamina and endurance by increasing red blood cell production. It's the kind of stuff cyclists and marathon runners use to push their bodies to superhuman levels. On top of that, she reportedly dabbled in anabolic steroids, which help build muscle faster than you can say bad decision. Both of these substances are strictly banned under WADA regulations, and the WNBA, they don't mess around with this kind of thing. Athletes caught using these banned substances usually face a harsh reality: suspensions, public humiliation, and a huge question mark hanging over the rest of their career.
The addiction is real.
I just hope y'all know the WNBA don't pay my bills at all. I don't even think that pays one of my bills.
So I don't know if she's complaining or just stating.
Angel Reese faced heavy criticism from experts after her recent complaints about her WNBA salary not being enough to cover her rent. Apparently, she's struggling on her $73,000 salary, claiming it doesn't stretch far enough to pay for her extravagant $8,000 monthly rent, as if she's living paycheck to paycheck.
I am sympathetic to that, but yeah, sports needs villains. I don't have a problem with it. She makes the WNBA more interesting.
Reese, regarded as the league's most pampered player, appears to believe she deserves a salary increase, especially since it's been a while since she found herself in another scandal. And now, it looks like we're back to the same situation again.
Number one complaint this offseason in the WNBA would be the incessant whining about their minimum wage salaries. I mean, who could have possibly...
What exactly are you asking for more money for, Angel? you played less than 10 games this season, while Caitlin Clark put in the effort through 38. You're attracting a crowd of 7,000 fans per game.
I am sympathetic to that, but yeah, sports needs villains. I don't have a problem with it. She makes the WNBA more interesting.
And somehow, you expect to earn paychecks on the level of LeBron James? Let's be honest, it seems like you're more focused on your image than the game itself. Angel Reese, who calls herself the face of the WNBA, is acting as if life is incredibly unfair to her. She's making a WNBA salary of $73,439, but still has the audacity to complain that it doesn't cover her $8,000 monthly rent.
Now these complaints are coming from the star.
That's right. She's living in a place that costs $96,000 a year and then wonders why her finances don't make sense. I mean, how out of touch can you be? It's almost like she's forgotten basic math. Spending $8,000 a month isn't just rent, it's a lifestyle choice. The average person in Chicago, where rent is around $2,000, would be laughing in disbelief at these complaints. Most people can't afford to spend their entire paycheck on a luxury apartment and then complain about it. Yet here, we have Angel Reese playing the victim while the rest of the WNBA is out there hustling just to get by. The audacity is off the charts.
Hand pays them bills, baby. I just hope y'all know the WNBA don't pay my bills at all. I don't even think that pays one of my bills. Literally. I'm trying to think of like my rent for where I stay at.
Let's not even dive into her financial choices. With all the money she's making from endorsements, sponsorships, and her podcast, you'd think she would realize that renting an overpriced place isn't the smartest decision. But instead of making wise financial moves, like buying a house or investing, she seems to be spending money faster than most people can earn it. What's her plan exactly? Is she just waiting for a magic fairy to come and solve her problems?
I don't even know what salary. Does it really? You don't even. Yo! I'm living beyond my means! It's like.
It's both hilarious and sad at the same time. She's in a position to be a real role model for her fellow WNBA players, many of whom are genuinely struggling to make a decent living. They don't have million-dollar endorsement deals rolling in. They rely on their league salaries and are barely scraping by. Yet here's Reese complaining about rent as if she isn't surrounded by cash from every angle. It's insulting to everyone in the league who is truly fighting to stay afloat.
Playing this offseason in the WNBA.
Angel Reese eventually found herself in serious trouble, facing a lawsuit from the Chicago Sky for using steroids. It seems the team had more up their sleeve than just taking jabs at Caitlin Clark. They're dealing with bigger issues now. But really, Angel, steroids? It's like if there's a questionable move to be made, she's all in. Apparently, just playing the game the right way hasn't been cutting it for her.
The addiction is real. The addiction to attention is real.
Now, she's turning to drugs, because apparently playing real basketball in the WNBA is just too tough, especially when you're afraid of the competition. Let's be honest, this all boils down to her jealousy of rookie sensation Caitlin Clark. Reese just couldn't handle being overshadowed, so naturally, steroids seemed like the solution to her. But this time, she's not getting off so easily. Angel Reese, the self-proclaimed queen of the WNBA, has been caught up in drama from the start. And now, with this steroid scandal, it's turned into a full-blown soap opera. The Chicago Sky decided to skip the usual warnings and went straight to filing a lawsuit. Rumor has it, they've officially accused Reese of cheating her way to the top.
She got terminated today from the Chicago Sky.
This kind of move is completely unheard of in the WNBA. No team has ever been this bold, this over the top. We're talking about a full-blown legal smackdown, accusing Angel of juicing her way through the season, especially when things got intense during key matchups. And if you think this is some wild conspiracy theory, think again. The Chicago Sky's lawsuit reads like a sports drama miniseries. They're saying Reese cheated, and because of it, they missed the playoffs. They're not holding back. They're flat out claiming she used her enhanced abilities to sabotage their shot at playoff glory.
You're not coming in and dominating our game.
Here's where things get interesting. Rumor has it that Reese, realizing she wasn't going to dominate the WNBA like she did in college, decided to take a shortcut, and allegedly, that shortcut was steroids. The timing? A bit too convenient. The allegations suggest Reese turned to steroids right when it became clear that pure talent wasn't enough to keep her on top. And who was the constant thorn in her side, outshining her at every opportunity? None other than Caitlin Clark, the Iowa star who was stealing the spotlight without a trace of controversy.
I think Angel Reese is jealous of Caitlin Clark. She thinks she's, the reason why this is all happening here.
While Reese was grappling with inconsistency and facing criticism, Clark was out there effortlessly breaking records. Clark didn't just set the WNBA rookie scoring record in 2024. She obliterated it, finishing the season with 761 points. No drama, no scandals, just solid hard work and talent. Every time Clark lit up the scoreboard, Reese's struggles became even more apparent. Social media had a field day, tearing Reese apart with constant comparisons between her and Clark. Let's just say those comparisons didn't do Reese any favors, as it became clear to everyone that she was more talk than game.
She just likes to call out haters and clap back at haters and say different things.
Let's be honest, this scandal doesn't just affect Angel Reese, it casts a significant shadow over the entire WNBA. The league has been working hard to expand its fan base and prove it can compete on a larger scale. However, with this steroid revelation, the league's reputation is now at stake. If the lawsuit goes in the Sky's favor, the WNBA will face a serious need for damage control to maintain the trust of both fans and sponsors.
You're not coming in and dominating our game.
But why did she feel the need to resort to this? The WNBA isn't college basketball. In the pros, the competition is much tougher, and the athletes are seasoned professionals. Reese quickly discovered that it's a whole different ballgame. While her rookie season wasn't bad by typical standards, she wasn't aiming for average. There were moments when she looked like the unstoppable powerhouse everyone expected her to be, but then she would follow those performances with disappointing outings. In her first 10 games of the 2024 season, she scored under 10 points 5 times. That's not the kind of stat line that silences critics. When expectations are sky high and you don't meet them, people start talking, and not in a good way. And that's when the steroid rumors began to surface.
But there's nothing about her game that's really interesting.
Angel Reese reveals the real reason behind Caitlin Clark's move to Europe. Angel Reese shuts down rumors, says Caitlin Clark's exit is a financial move. Angel Reese couldn't resist weighing in on Caitlin Clark's new European contract. Instead of letting it slide, she stepped in to set the record straight.
What the is that headline all about?
Yeah.
She is the worst basketball player.
In the WNBA, this is pretty unprecedented. Someone so set on stirring the pot. Reese, still tangled up in her own steroid controversy, took a jab at Clark, suggesting players are just in it for the money and using racial issues to gain sympathy.
People talk about Caitlin getting hate, but someone sat down and spent hours putting together an 8-minute video with interlude clips all to trash Angel. Why?
It's obvious Reese is targeting Clark here. The surprising part is that Caitlin has never said anything negative about Reese or any other black player. But today, I can't help but feel that some people don't really deserve the silent treatment.
Blah, blah, blah. From Angel Reese.
It's pretty clear that Caitlin Clark heading to Europe isn't just about exploring a new scene or picking up a different paycheck. It's more about escaping the toxic circus the WNBA has turned into. On the surface, the WNBA might seem like the perfect fit for a player like her, someone born to dominate, but in reality, it was becoming anything but ideal. Instead of just focusing on her game, she was constantly dodging scandals and skeptical looks like it was all part of the game plan.
Entitled players in the WNBA just can't seem to understand is you get what you put in, and right now you are getting exactly what you deserve.
And why? Because she chose to stay quiet while others tried to paint her as some kind of villain. Some of her own fellow athletes, along with a few media voices, went as far as to label her a racist. Honestly, where do they come up with this stuff? But Clark, always level-headed, didn't take the bait. She didn't waste her time responding to these absurd accusations. She just stayed focused on what really matters, basketball. Yet the drama surrounding her only kept growing, like a bad reality show storyline.
So I think it's really just the fans, her fans, the Iowa fans, now the Indiana fans.
Then Alyssa Thomas, clearly not interested in keeping the peace, decided to stir things up even more. She publicly blamed Clark for racist comments made by her fans. Yes, you read that correctly. Thomas somehow figured that Clark should be responsible for the words of random people in the stands.
I think in my 11-year career, I've never experienced the racial comments from the Indiana Fever fan base.
Ridiculous, right? This wasn't even about anything Clark did or said. Nope, Thomas seemed more interested in redirecting attention away from her own struggles. She bundled up her frustrations, jealousy, and whatever else was going on inside, wrapped it in an accusation, and tossed it right at Clark.
And then she had a press conference where she cried and everybody's so mean to me. Well, she's continued the stupidity. I mean, she cheered on her teammate as she shoved Caitlin Clark, knocked Caitlin Clark in the head, and a bunch of other stupid stuff.
The thing is, Caitlin didn't have to do anything wrong to end up as a target. The love she was getting from fans, her name popping up in every highlight reel and headline, that alone was enough to spark jealousy in the WNBA. And it wasn't just random trolls online, it was some of the very players she shared the...
Now you have a rivalry here. Angel Reese wants to be Draymond Green, but there's nothing about her game that's really interesting that is going to translate to people who may not watch the WNBA, may not care about basketball.
ESPN has finally laid out what's next for Angel Reese after her first season in the WNBA. And honestly, things aren't looking as promising as people might have expected. Or should I say her first tear-filled season? Now, before anyone thinks I'm being too critical, let's get one thing straight. Angel Reese is undeniably talented. There's no question about her skills on the court, but the ongoing drama, constant complaints, and leaning on the race card really overshadowed what could have been a stronger start. ESPN's analysts have broken down her performance, and their predictions for her future are pretty jaw-dropping. It may not have shocked me, but for those who haven't been paying close attention, it might be eye-opening. Now, let's not pretend Reese completely bombed her first season, because she didn't. She averaged 11.5 points and 9.2 rebounds per game, which sounds decent at first glance. But here's the thing, those stats don't tell the full story. Sure, she was putting up numbers, but there's a difference between just padding stats and actually making a real impact on the game.
Honestly, I think the biggest thing she should focus on is just finishing around the rim. That is something where maybe her rebounds will be halved. However, she will still make such an impact around the rim if she can.
The real concern with Reese is her shooting. You know, that whole putting the ball in the hoop part of basketball wasn't exactly her strong suit. She shot 39% from the field, which, for someone who plays close to the basket most of the time, is pretty disappointing, especially when you've got someone like Caitlin Clark casually hitting shots from miles away with better efficiency. Reese, on the other hand, was missing key shots. At least she had the chance to grab her own rebounds though, because nothing quite says oops like missing your own shot and then immediately collecting it again, right?
Angel Reese shot 39% from the field, and she took 90% of her shots from inside 8 feet.
Speaking of rebounds, let's be clear, Reese can rebound. She led all rookies with 9.2 per game, which sounds impressive until you realize a good chunk of those were off her own missed shots. It's like she was playing fetch with herself. Sure, she's doing something, but is it really making a difference for her team? Critics were quick to highlight that while her double-doubles looked great on paper, they didn't seem to have much of an impact on the game. More like padding her stats thanks to those missed shots. But hey, Who's keeping track? Oh, right, ESPN.
Back with 20 rebounds, looking, pursuing. Once again, Reese with the tip, another chance. Reese trying to put it back.
And wow, did the analysts have a field day with the whole self-rebounding situation? It turned into this funny basketball meme. Angel Reese, queen of padding her own stats by cleaning up her own misses. Fans were hyping up her double-doubles, but the experts? They were raising eyebrows and asking, wait, how many of those rebounds were from her own missed shots? It's one of those things that sounds impressive until you take a closer look and see the mess beneath the surface. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark is out there casually racking up triple-doubles with so much efficiency, and in comparison, Reese's numbers start to feel a little empty. Her double-doubles weren't leading the team to victory, and they weren't winning the big games. When the pressure was really on and she needed to step up, she didn't. She struggled in those high-stakes moments, giving critics even more reason to question her future.
Yeah, the reason why we watching women's basketball is not just because of one person, it's because of me too, and I want y'all to realize that.
Another issue is her ratings and attendance. Angel Reese, always so confident both on and off the court, didn't just step into the WNBA, she strutted in, practically shouting that she was the reason people were watching. But reality had other ideas, and the numbers? Well, they paint a very different picture. When Reese was sidelined with a wrist injury, something unexpected happened. Attendance actually went up. Yep, you read that right. Fans were showing up in larger numbers while Reese was sitting on the bench, which, let's be honest, doesn't exactly scream, people are here for me, now does it?
WNBA has been around a couple of decades, and people didn't notice the game.
Caitlin Clark presented in Europe after record-breaking WNBA season.
From the sounds of this interview, it seems like she's probably going to make more money overseas in Euroleague than she did during this WNBA season. The commissioner told her that she could make $700,000 playing in the WNBA.
The Euroleague just made it official. Caitlin Clark is heading overseas, and now the WNBA is buzzing over the contract details. It's clear that while Clark is about to make waves in Europe, Kathy Engelbert and the WNBA execs are probably sweating it out. Without Clark, they're likely heading back to that familiar spot of irrelevance they were stuck in before she came along and gave people a reason to tune in. Let's be honest, most are only watching because of Caitlin Clark, and once she's gone, it's hard to see anyone sticking around for those average teams.
Now, I feel like there could be a team overseas who would love to snatch Caitlin Clark away from us and give her a crazy offer. I mean, Ice Cube was about to give her $5 million to play in less than 10 games in the Big Three. So the money is there, and if these owners are smart with it, I could definitely see more WNBA players going overseas.
The WNBA pretty much shot themselves in the foot with a series of bad decisions and some race-baiting drama that cost them their star player. They lost their golden opportunity. But let's not dwell on their mistakes. Caitlin Clark's new adventure is where the real excitement lies now.
Going overseas and possibly not returning.
I totally understand that some of you hardcore Caitlin Clark fans in America might be feeling a little down about her moving to Europe. But let's face it, you want her to be happy, right? That's why you're staying quiet about it, deep down. As long as Clark is doing well, you're okay with it. And don't worry, Clark cares about you just as much. In fact, I have a little surprise from her that's going to make you really happy. So stick around for that. For now, let's dive into what's really happening with this Euroleague deal.
Unfair what the players are paid.
So, the big boss of Euroleague women has finally put all the speculation to rest. Caitlin Clark is officially getting ready to head to Europe. And no, this isn't just a temporary gig while the WNBA takes a short break. This is a major move. We're talking about Euroleague Women, which is technically the top competition for women's basketball in Europe. Yet somehow, it still doesn't get the recognition it deserves. It's like this hidden gem in the basketball world, and people are still overlooking it.
If you look at his rookie salary, which was around $55 million for 4 years, and then you look at Caitlin Clark's $338 $100,000 salary that she signed for 4 years. That is about the same amount more. It's around 162 times more that Victor made.
For those who may not be aware, Euroleague Women is managed by FIBA Europe, and believe me, it's where some of the most intense basketball takes place. This isn't just a casual summer league. The Euroleague runs from October to April. That's ideal for Clark to keep her basketball skills sharp throughout the year. She's really positioning herself to excel on both sides of the Atlantic. It's like she's playing chess while everyone else is still figuring out checkers.
They always sold out. Unbelievable. So Atlanta would normally have 3,000, 4,000 people. Now they have 17,000 people, and they sold 1,000 standing room only tickets. So when we walked into the arena, people were on that third balcony looking down at the tops of our players' heads to watch. I mean, it's really hard to take in.
And here's something interesting. Euroleague Women has been around since 1958. That's right, longer than most of us have been alive. It's like the original league for women's basketball, even getting a rebranding in the 90s. Yet, for some reason, it hasn't achieved the same commercial success as the WNBA. But don't be fooled. This league is serious business. It has stood the test of time for a Caitlin Clark recently shared some footage of her training in Europe, and it's everything we've been looking for. This serves as the ultimate evidence of how a truly respectable league treats its star players.
No matter how the cachet of the WNBA elevates, remember, it could have been even better. You messed it up. You messed it up.
You can truly see the joy on Clark's face. She looks free, incredibly happy, and completely unbothered. Those days of putting up with cheap shots, dirty hits, and all that nonsense are behind her. There's no one poking her in the eye or hip-checking her into the stands.
So now give me the reasons why. She's gone.
And here's the best part. There's no racial tension or scheming against the league's top talent in Europe. The players focus on their game, and Clark can finally concentrate on what she does best, dominating on the court. The contrast is clear, and it's no surprise she's thriving in a league that truly knows how to honor greatness.
I have honestly never seen a company fumble the bag so hard like the WNBA fumbled Caitlin Clark.
She's playing as if she's finally free from all the nonsense, free from cheap shots, and definitely free from the relentless negativity she faced in the WNBA. It feels like a completely new Caitlin Clark, and she's clearly enjoying every moment. She's smiling, sinking threes like they're layups, and making no-look passes as if it's just another day in the park.
I think it's a good number. Threes were a little bit, I wouldn't say lower. I'll still take 63, but I want to be more so around 70 if I can. Yeah. 81 mid-range is really, really good.
There's no fear, no hesitation, and no worrying about getting smacked in the face or having someone try to take her out. In Europe, they truly appreciate talent. They love and celebrate her. She's not dodging elbows or dealing with dirty looks anymore. Finally, she's being treated like the superstar she is. It's as if she's escaped a nightmare and landed in a place where basketball is celebrated.
And it sucks that so much of it was riddled with so much drama and so much negativity and so many mishaps.
You know who's really losing it? The WNBA. That's right. The league that thought they could just sit back and let Caitlin Clark get poked in the eye, body checked and disrespected day after day. Now they're complaining about losing their star, but let's be honest, it's their own fault. They made it unbearable for her. How many times did we watch Clark take a cheap shot while the referees stood by without taking action? And what did the WNBA do about it? Nothing. They allowed it to happen repeatedly.
Like we talked about in our locker room after the game ended, where obviously people were pretty disappointed in the outcome.
Here's the thing. In Europe, they don't have that kind of drama. No Chennedy Carter blindsiding her, no Dejonai Carrington going for her eye. No one is trying to take her down just because she's different. She's not facing players who resent her simply because she's a straight white girl excelling in their league. Over there, it's all about basketball. It's pure, it's clean, and it's a genuine league that respect. In a surprising move, ESPN is back in the news, this time for parting ways with one of its well-known personalities, Elle Duncan. So, what happened? It all stems from Duncan's ongoing criticism of Caitlin Clark, a rising star who's been making waves in the WNBA. Instead of celebrating Clark's impressive achievements, Duncan took a different route, one that ultimately cost her her job at ESPN.
Breanna Stewart's never going to win another championship, or, Nafisa Collier's better than Maya Moore. Like, instead of those kinds of hot takes, the hot takes solely and explicitly surround all of these black women versus Caitlin Clark.
Imani Jones and Elle Duncan have teamed up. They're coming at the 22-year-old white straight girl, Caitlin Clark. Because, see, here's the deal. Because Caitlin Clark can throw a ball into a basket deeper and better than anybody in the history of women's basketball, because Caitlin Clark plays with a flair.
Before getting into the specifics, let's first break down how Elle Duncan's actions ultimately led to her being let go from ESPN. It's no surprise that she faced backlash. Throwing out accusations without solid proof never sits well with the audience. Viewers quickly picked up on the bias, and it was only a matter of time before ESPN had to sever ties. Today, we're diving deep into the controversy, exploring why ESPN made such a bold decision and how Duncan's criticisms of Caitlin Clark shifted into what many are calling a full-blown witch hunt. But there's more to this story than what's on the surface. So let's dig into all the details.
She has never been around these type of women. She's never been around, black women or women from different parts of the country. Like, she's sort of existed in this bubble.
Now, seriously, how arrogant is this? I mean, I hear all the time, don't judge me. Don't judge me by the color of the skin. Don't judge me. Really? Okay. Well, what are you doing? What are you doing? You're sitting there and judging me. You're judging a woman you have no idea. None. Zero zip.
He points out the contradictions. While constructive criticism is one thing, Duncan's approach veered into personal attacks. It's a hard truth, but often that's the way it is. Duncan's comments hit a nerve, but not in the way she probably hoped. Instead of gaining support, she was met with immediate backlash. Fans, analysts, and even fellow commentators called out the lack of evidence behind her claims. Many questioned why she focused on Clark's so-called privilege instead of her undeniable skills on the court. Let's take a closer look at Dan Dakic's take on Duncan's actions and the jealousy he sensed among ESPN's commentators.
Everybody that I know still know what ESPN tells me. It's so ridiculous, these women. It's so ridiculous. There's a green room right next to where the makeup is. It's loud, it's stupid, it's asinine, it's absurd. And that's Elle Duncan and her little cast of cronies. And all the little girls at ESPN, look, all they are is trying to make themselves, well, not better, more popular. And I don't care what they do. Elle Duncan has lived in that bubble forever. Elle Duncan is full of shit here.
His comments hit a nerve, but they echoed what a lot of viewers were already thinking. Criticism is fine, but when it feels driven by envy, it quickly loses its weight. Caitlin Clark's entry into the WNBA has been nothing short of groundbreaking. Her stats speak for themselves, leading the league in points per game and bringing a fresh level of excitement to women's basketball. Viewership has jumped nearly 40% since her debut, with fans across the nation tuning in to see her in action. Yet, despite all this success, Elle Duncan chose to focus on downplaying Clark's achievements. Let's revisit a moment many feel crossed the line in Duncan's critiques.
The second that you show love to anybody not named Caitlin Clark, you are part of, some constituency that's trying to keep her contributions at a minimum, and you're racist, and we get a lot of that. It's no wonder that the W coverage is all black women, because you're all in it together to try to keep her down. It's just, you're kind of damned if you do and you're damned if you don't.
It was a clear attempt to change the narrative, but viewers weren't buying it. When your arguments are fueled more by envy than actual evidence, it's a hard sell. The truth is, Caitlin Clark's story isn't one of privilege. She's competed against athletes from all walks of life, facing obstacles both on and off the court. Many saw Duncan's take as an attempt to downplay Clark's achievements simply because there wasn't anything wrong with her game. While Duncan kept up her criticism, Clark was making headlines for all the right reasons. Let's take a look at how she dominated on the court, proving her critics wrong.
Caitlin Clark has literally carried the sport on her back. She talks that yang. Resonates with Caitlin Clark. It isn't her being white. It isn't her being straight. Her game resonates with people in basketball and across the country because she's got that edge. I heard her drop 3 F-bombs in one game sitting right there courtside. Her teammates had to hold her back. She's yelling at the coach. That's what Magic, Bird, Isaiah, Jordan, you name it, that's what they do. Clark resonates. Nobody turning the set on and saying, I gotta watch who?
It's no wonder fans are drawn to Clark. She brings a new energy to the game that's been missing for quite some time. Analyst Dan Dakich didn't mince words when addressing the situation, calling out the obvious double standards. He suggested that Elle Duncan's criticisms were fueled by something deeper, possibly resentment toward Clark's rapid rise to fame, rather than any valid critique of her performance.